Hi everyone, Serena here. Early morning in Hungary, I just woke up and I just felt to record this video message to you. This explanation, because I keep finding myself in the same conversations with my clients and with different people from the forum. So yeah, and especially after Toshi's post about finding safety in different tools, methods, for example, nervous system regulation and topic of bypassing with that or stopping with that it can stop us. I just felt to share a little bit about that. And I want to talk about the difference between somatic processing and nervous system regulation techniques. Because KI is a somatic processing tool, as you already probably know, and nervous system regulation is not inquiry tool. It can support your nervous system, but I will explain this very briefly to you because I saw that at the moment there are more than 550 people on the members area, and I was thinking like, wow, that's a lot. So maybe many of you are just new to this work and you don't even know what is somatic processing and what is nervous system regulation, and you don't even know about bypass. That's already another topic. So I really just wanted to give a short and simple, brief explanation of these two tools. I mean, yeah, KI is a tool set, more like a tool set or a toolkit, whatever. And so just very simple explanation on somatic processing. So with KI, with this somatic processing, we constantly, repetitively go back to certain life situations, events, especially relationships in the past, especially mom and dad, etc. We go back and we, through the triggering that happens through these events and people, relationships, we bring up, with the inquiry tools, we bring up the frozen emotions and thoughts which are stuck in the body mind. They are stuck in the body mind because we just couldn't handle the situation or the relationship, whatever. So they are frozen and stuck in the body mind. So we use these inquiry tools to bring them up, and then we use different somatic tools to process them. And basically that's KI, to trigger the body mind, to give us those responses in the form of emotions and thoughts, and then we process them with some different somatic tools. And we have different tools to process, to go deep, to trigger and to process. We have different tools on level 1 and level 2. That's all. It's not that level 1 and level 2 is that different or separated or anything like this. And it's not like level 1 and then level 2 or level 1 and then level 2. It's more like it just goes, you just go deeper and deeper as you process with KI. As you go with processing deeper into the somatic experience and deeper in the visceral, so to speak, you will just need different tools. And it's reasonable, isn't it? Like, as we go deeper and deeper into the visceral and the somatic, we just need different tools to reach those areas and make it conscious. Yeah. So that's KI, somatic processing. And what is nervous system regulation? Just very simple explanation. When we were child, and for example, we got angry, we got upset or whatever, so we went through there was some experience and we went through intense emotions, intense emotional states. And if we were lucky, our parents picked us, embraced us, held us, and helped us to go through these intense experience. And because we were held and supported to go through this, our nervous system came back to its regulated, neutral, original state because we had that support. But if we didn't have that support, our nervous system, because we couldn't process through these emotional states, our nervous system got stuck in this dysregulated or nervous restless state, so to speak. So yeah, and of course, when these emotions come up in the everydays or during inquiry, we can find ourselves in the same dysregulated state. So what we can do with nervous system regulation techniques is to give this support to the nervous system that we didn't have back then. So we have to learn this, how to do this, how to come back from a dysregulated state, in other words, emotionally overwhelming state, because the emotional overwhelm itself creates the dysregulation in the mind, in the nervous system. And so with nervous system regulation techniques, we can give this support. We can, so to speak, train the nervous system to learn to come back to the regulated, kind of neutral state or feeling, something like this. It's not that it always has to happen, because sometimes even on level 1, some things come up, so you can feel like there is a natural overrun for a while because those feelings come up, so there can be there. But if you do the nervous system regulation, and that's my experience on the level 1 practice, if I do the nervous system regulation techniques while I go through a kind of natural overwhelm, I still have this feeling of presence, groundedness, and kind of neutrality, so to speak. So it can happen in the same time. That's my experience, that I don't get lost in the emotional overwhelm or anything like this. And so what I want to say here, so this is the function of nervous system regulation, and you can learn it with Taz. She's going to have a workshop in February, and sorry, I'm not so updated about the programs and the events which are happening on the members area, but you can go to I'm not sure, to the level 1 open meeting section on the left. You find it in the left column, and you can just check it, or you can write to Taz, or there are many facilitators. But if you check the open meetings on level 1, you will find the level 1 meetings. So there you can learn these techniques. So what I want to say here is that nervous system regulation is to train the nervous system so it can come back to this state. And if you train your nervous system and if you learn these techniques, this can support your processing with KI. But nervous system regulation is not for processing. It's only to support that nervous system that couldn't learn to regulate itself and come back into neutrality back then when we were children. So that's only for the nervous system. And if you do this can support your processing with KI, but they are not the same. They are two different tools. Nervous system regulation is a part of KI somehow, but it's existing on its own. You can find it anywhere, there is a lot of nervous system regulation groups, methods, approaches, but we also use these techniques, nervous system regulation techniques. So this is to support nervous system, and KI is for processing. And if you learn nervous system regulation, it can support your processing, your process with KI. So that's all. And what I want to say here is that if you use nervous system regulation in that way, and you are clear about that this is only for that, then you I think you can't really go wrong with that, like bypassing, as Toshi mentioned. And yeah, I cannot fully relate to that, how to bypass with nervous system regulation. I mean, I understand that as we go deeper and all those, especially if on level 2, so as you go deeper and deeper, you know, and you start to go into more into the repression, the mechanism and the repression feeling in the body, and you start to open these and you slowly go into level 2, the repression level, then you will see that these emotions and thoughts or programming will come up deeper and deeper in the body. It's not that something really new is happening, you just go deeper in the somatic experience. So you will find these frozen energies, emotions coming up, you know. And I think where the bypassing can happen is that when these things starts to come up, you can feel like unsafe because it can feel like new, or also in the mind programming or lifetime of worldview and opinion can come up, and seeing that, wow, that's not me, you know, it's just my thinking that's been happening, and kind of letting go of these very deep frozen energies, emotions and worldviews and programming, just looking behind them and let it come up can cause a sense of unsafety, you know, like it feels safe, even if it hurts and if I suffer this, it feels like, oh, that's me. This is my safety place, you know? So maybe you get afraid to go deeper when these things come up, but it will happen later. You don't really have to worry about that now if you are on level 1. It will just come as you go deeper and deeper. But we are here, we hold the groups, you can go to Scott's meetings. Probably many of you have a facilitator, you know, you receive facilitation, one-on-one sessions. So it's not that you are on your own, you know, so we can just say like, give you instructions on that and we can explain how to work with this, you know. So yeah, and I think this is what Toshi mentioned, that this is where the bypassing can happen. As you go deeper and deeper and these deeply buried and frozen emotions, feelings, energies come up, then you can get scared and it can dysregulate you, you know, in a way. But the nervous system regulation that you had been using on level 1 will not really work, because we are here treating the symptom that's been causing the dysregulation in the nervous system, in your mind, you know. So we are resolving the root issue here. So this is why we point you again and again during facilitation back into the repression, into these deep energies, you know, to solve, to resolve, to bring up lovingly, compassionately, skillfully, maturely, bring up these energies in the body, and through that process them and resolve them, because this is what resolves the dysregulation in the long term. That's the root issue. So on level 1, we more like regulating the symptom, the effect of the repression. But as you go deeper, we start to work with the cause that's causing the dysregulation in your life, you know. So of course, then it's reasonable that we have different tool. So yeah, we kind of replace nervous system regulation with natural recovery from suffering on level 1. NRFS. This is what we call NRFS in the level 2. And I'm just explaining this to you that it's reasonable that we use different tools, and different tools will be added to you as you go deeper and deeper with this process. Not deeper like this, but more deeper into the somatic, into the visceral, and bringing up this unconscious emotions and thoughts programming. So it's not that if you come to level 2, then don't use any nervous system regulation, because what I wanted to say that I still use both. And I just want to bring my experience here because I have CPTSD. Probably most of you already know my story. I went through like 18 years of violence, sexual, physical abuse as a child. So my nervous system is extremely dysregulated. I never knew the state of rest or this arrived feeling, this neutrality. It just wasn't in my experience. Dysregulation was my normal. And I still use both, like nervous system regulation and NRFS, natural recovery from suffering, and the tools that natural recovery from suffering can provide, for example, mind-body mirroring. So as I went deeper and deeper, I started to use more of mind-body mirroring on my CPTSD as a reaction to the repression work itself. As I was bringing those things up, in the long term, it was like resolving the CPTSD, the anxious and restless mind reaction, but also in the same time, it was giving a response. The CPTSD anxiety was the response itself as those energies came up, those traumas and repressions. And but the trick here on level 2, that I started to resolve both the repression and the anxiety response itself. I used mind-body mirroring on that, and I used different repression tools on the repression. So I'm just sharing this, and please be where you are. I will explain this, but on the level 2, and it's not like a quick shift, but it's just as you go deeper into your experience and somatic, you will find yourself that, wow, here I should use a different tool, but what's that? So of course you don't know the new tool that belongs to that stage as you go deeper and deeper. So we are going to give you these different tools as you go deeper and deeper in your work. And what I wanted to say here, and this is why I brought my experience, because I know many of you having CPTSD, ADHD, OCD, etc., all these anxious, nervous reactions and dysfunctions of attention or something like this. It had to be there because it was protecting us from feeling, but now as we have the tools to resolve repression, they are still giving the same response. So we have tool on the level 2 to treat this, to resolve this response to make it conscious and to resolve this. But we are resolving both on level 2, you know? Both the anxiety or restlessness, dysregulation, let's say, and the repression. So of course, it doesn't make sense to use only nervous system regulation on the symptom, because it's just neutralizing this, not resolving this, if you know what I mean. So this is why we have different tools on level 2. It wouldn't make sense to regulate a symptom that's been dissolving, you know, if you know what I mean. I think that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, and also a few words about 3 dimensions of KI, because soon we are going to change the name. Level 1 will be renamed for first and second dimension, and the level 2 will be renamed to third dimension. I'm also just learning this. So the level 1, the first and the second dimension within the level 1 is the first dimension is basically not bringing in inquiry yet. It's more like, and many of you or most of you know these practices, it's more like stabilizing in awareness or presence, conscious presence, and just allowing whatever is happening in the body mind, like the dance of the body mind, just allowing sensations, emotions, and thoughts, like images, words, and we don't judge them, we don't want to do anything with it. Even if resistance arises to that, we just allow this resistance too. So it's more like coming back into this awareness where we can just observe, witness, and allow these things lovingly, like holding space for that. And the second dimension within the level 1, the second dimension is already triggering these, making them conscious, making it conscious, what I'm feeling, and what thoughts are attached to this feeling, what is it saying, I'm scared or whatever, I see mom, So we start to process, we start to trigger the body mind, and we start to process what's coming up with these inquiries. So it's already a kind of like intense process, And the third dimension of KI is repression and trauma work, or repression trauma work. These are not separate things. I just like to call it trauma work too because of my own experience with traumas. So it's more like the third dimension is like repression work. And I don't want to say much about that because you will see as you go deeper that it just goes deeper into your programming, conditioning and yeah, something like this. I don't want to say much about that because it's not in your experience yet. So why to explain a lot about that? It will just come. Your experience with KI just change gradually as you go deeper and deeper in the process. And I would like just to say something here because I know there are a lot of communication has been happening on level 1. But what I want to say here, and this is why I explained the 3 dimensions to you, that it's not 3 dimensions like this or this. It's more like, as I said, it's going deeper as you go with processing, as you go with KI processing. You go deeper into the somatic and the visceral, to bring up all those stuff and thoughts and programming. But what I want to say here is just to please just trust where you are at the moment, especially if you're a newcomer. Because as I said, we will add different tools to your process. We will give you different tools to your process as you will go deeper and deeper with this work. And we have different tools as you go deeper. So the very important thing is just to trust the stage where you are at now, and just trust the tool that belongs to that stage. That's very important. And just settle in that and just give your full attention to that and just learn the tool that belongs to that stage, because it's a gradual deepening, a gradual process, and just trust the tools and just trust that we will give you those tools as you go deeper. So it's more about practicing, slowing down, even stopping if you can, and not trying to make it to level 2 or trying to get out of repression, or because this is conditioning. Just trust where you are now. Just trust your stage and just trust the tool, and turn a lot of time on learning and practicing those tools and the nervous system regulation if you are on level 1, because practicing nervous system regulation, it will make it easier for you to go to level 2 as you go with the gradual deepening and processing. It's like putting the car in the right gear. Like if your nervous system got trained to come to neutrality and more like an observing place, even if intense stuff arise, it will greatly help you if your nervous system got trained on that, We will give you different tool again when you will come to level 2. But for now, if you're on level 1, just really practice nervous system regulation and processing with the level 1 tools and just trust that fully. And then as you will go deeper, after a while you will use both level 1 and level 2 tools as we show you the tools. Maybe as you go deeper, you will use only level 2 tools as I do now, So just trust where you are at now and just learn the tools. Don't try to get to a finish line or anything like this. Just trust it and just be present, slow down, and just practice those tools and practice processing, to triggering the body mind and to process what's coming up when you are inquiring. That's very important. Slowing down and bringing awareness, being present in that, and just be staying with processing. I think that's what I wanted to say. So just trust the process, the tools, trust us in a way, because we hold the meeting, Scott holds the meeting, and we've been developing and creating these tools through our own experience to help you to go deeper and deeper. So if you are on level 1 and I will give you a level 2 tool, you will not know what to do with that, because you are still on level 1, so you haven't reached that depth yet. And forget, it's not like a time-wise deepening or a vertical deepening. As I said, it's just going deeper into the somatic, and just trust where you are at and just practice. That's all that I wanted to say. Trust your deepening. Don't try to leave the thought that you have to go deeper fast because that's what's giving you freedom, because it's not. It's the slowing down and stopping with the triggering and processing that will give you the freedom, and you will see that there is nothing to reach, really. The freedom is already in that, getting to know yourself in that way and really understanding the processing. Yeah. So the 3 dimensions are not like this, not like this. It's more like going deeper within yourself. I think that's all for now. A beautiful weather here in Hungary. I don't know if I can show you this. Sometimes it was hard to focus on what I'm saying because the sun is just rising and birds flying. It's beautiful. I try to show you. I'm not sure if I can do this. If you can see this or not. No, the sun is too strong. I can't show you this. Oh, I wanted to show you, but I can't. No, I can't show. It's too much light. Anyway, thank you for listening, and how is it now? Yeah, and see you on the meetings. Thank you.